Welcome to the Gamepass review, where I review a game in Gamepass so you know if it's worth your time. Requiem, the sequel to A Plague Tale Innocence, is a story-driven thriller-adventure game with puzzle elements set in 15th century France. A Plague Tale Innocence, in my opinion, was a brilliant game. Nice story, good antagonists, and a bunch of well-thought-out mechanics that allow you to fix issues in various ways. Innocence set a good darkish tone, and I was quite worried that Requiem could not live up to it. And boy, did it not just live up to it, it completely blew it out of the water. But, obviously, you want to know why. Before we go into that, we are speaking of a sequel, so beware of spoilers for Innocence. Also, before we get into the review for Requiem, there's one question I want to get answered straight away. Do you need to play Innocence before you get to Requiem? Obviously, it's better if you do, but nothing in Requiem really requires you to do so. The game is pretty good at explaining what's going on, and the events of Innocence are, in all intents and purposes, over. So, in Requiem, the plague-riddled rats are back, tormenting cities across France. As you fight your way through hordes of the devouring rats and a bunch of angry guards, you try and find a cure for Hugo and the macula disease. In search of finding that cure, you come across various cities, towns and landscapes, which in 4K look absolutely stunning. Gameplay-wise, we have just enough extra new tricks to make the game fresh, but not to make it too overwhelming when you compare it to A Plague Tale Innocence. All these tools can be used to take out menacing guards or avoid hordes of the flesh-devouring rats. The game allows you to deal with sections of the game the way you like. You want to kill all the guards like the rabid dogs they are? Go for it. More of a pacifist? You can also deceive guards to get around them quietly. Any of the routes will upgrade skills for that specific playstyle, making you more cunning or more deadly. In short, the gameplay is done well. I can't really find any significant flaws. Everything works exactly the way it's supposed to, and that's that. The more interesting thing is the story. Innocence had this dark and bleak tone. Requiem really feeds on the feeling of despair, where you start off trying to, just keep bandits at bay and try and outsmart some lousy bad guys. The game ends with this pile of misery that seems unbeatable. The build-up is just layer upon layer upon layer, and the great thing about how this is written is how you can feel every setback weighing on the characters, making this for an engaging and quite emotional story that you can truly dive into. By the time I finished the story, I just thought, wow. The only story that truly had me feel this way was the first Life is Strange, which I keep in very high regards, and so will I definitely cherish the story for what it delivered in A Plague Tale Requiem. Normally for reviews, I go into if the game is suited for achievement hunters, and yes, it is. Chapter replay with a guide for the collectibles you miss and a few skill-based achievements, but it's far from difficult. It does require more than one playthrough to get all the skills you need to fully upgrade everything from your aggression skills as well as your sneaky skills, as well as to upgrade all the gear that you have. Requiem is definitely worth a play in my opinion. I'd love to talk more in detail about the story, but that would be spoiling a story that is worth exploring yourself. So, drop a like, subscribe, play the game, and return in about a week time, maybe two, to comment how much you loved it. Deal? Awesome. See you next time.